There will be blood, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Millionth show. My name is James, joined once again by Henry. And no, we're not talking about the film with Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano, as much as I'd perhaps like to. We're talking about Saw 2. So, Henry, your history with this film.
Oh man, I mean,
Your
I
initial.
always remember Saw 2 as kind of the one that I like the least, but this like it's a film where I really like the bits with Jigsaw in it, like basically everything outside of the actual like whole traps bit itself, I kind of like. Um, but just I remember I was watching this like this was in my like marathon of like Saw at like 2 a.m. or whatever, and this one I must have watched the last out of like after seeing the first one. And I was like, I could barely like pay attention. So like it was like a fever dream like watching that. So it was pretty good. I mean the the whole like there's a lot of plot twists in it, and you can like quite easily tell that they got more of a budget for this one.
Not much more of a budget, though. I looked it up. The first film obviously had a budget of 1 million.
Yeah, 1 mil.
This film had a budget of 4 million. So obviously it's 4 times more than the original, but that's still not much in the grand scheme of things, you know. Like 4 million is nothing, you know, compared to. And this isn't like 4 million in the 60s. This is 4 million in 2005, you know. It's
Yeah, yeah. Also known as like £5. Anyway, um, yeah, I think it's pretty decent. I mean, like the way it moves the story forward, but I definitely could have. Yeah, I definitely could have missed out some of the traps in this. I'm not gonna lie. Um,
Yeah, you know, it's funny you say that. That was exactly my feelings coming into this film, where I'm like, um, this was always it wasn't it, what I like about this film is it sets up the rest of the franchise, basically, because the first
yeah,
film is very much its own thing, and obviously this film does a good job in paying homage and bringing in the key elements from that film into this and paying
yeah,
tribute and continuing and establishing the tropes that will go on to define the rest of the franchise. But I agree with you in terms of the fact that the actual, because it's funny. Whenever I remember this film, whenever I remember any of the films, I always remember them by the traps or the
yeah.
plot
Particular trap
traps
or the
that are
plot
going on.
twist.
So you know, so one's the bathroom, two is the guys in the house, three is the deadbeat dad, four is you know Detective Rig, etc. Five is the one with five people in it. It's easy to remember. So you know that's how I was, and I always remember this one by the traps, by the house, which I agree isn't the most. It's okay. It's good, but it's probably the weakest of
Yeah,
all. Um,
it's like the
but
most by the book one, you know.
yeah, but when I sit down and watch it, um, yeah, I'm always like I forget how I don't forget how much Saw is in it, but I mean John Kramer's in it, but it's like it's always a really nice refreshing thing, and I forget how quickly this film gets you in there. I mean, within
Yeah, that's
five
true. It
minutes, they're
doesn't waste
kicking
time.
down his door and you're seeing him there, and I really like that. This film is only 1 hour 33 minutes long, which is the shortest film we've reviewed to date. Directed by Darren Boosman. This is his directorial debut as well. So obviously, with the first film, it was James Wan's first film, and then for this one, this guy made his debut as well. And like I said, budget of 4 million, but with a box office of with $147 million,
That's a
which is
pretty good return on investment again, just like the first one.
yeah, fucking amazing.
Yeah, because like with Lionsgate as well, this is like their fastest selling DVD. I think like it.
Was it?
Yeah, it's like
Uh,
3 million copies when it came out.
yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, obviously, it was dining off the success of the first one a lot,
Yeah, you
and
can say that for sure. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I don't think this is a bad one by any stretch, but yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. Obviously, later on, we're
Yeah.
going to rank the our favorite trap, or like our least favorite trap, more like.
Yeah. Which one
We're
do you
going
want
to
to be
rank
in
at the
least?
end our the best ending, and obviously the Sigma moment and the film itself,
Hmm.
all up against Saw One. And as they continue, we'll develop that list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm quite excited to see. Like and do you know what? It's always it's the hard thing for me is like I said last week when we did the first Saw film. I didn't watch these in order when I first watched them when I was like 13 or however fucking too young I was, man. So it's what I always have to try and remind myself is like someone that's never watched these and they're watching them for the first time. So they watch Saw 1 and then they watch Saw 2. And basically, what they're seeing is the guy that just stands up off the floor at the end of the first film. And then we're going into his whole origin story and his whole back. And, you know, it's like completely fleshing out that character, which you only basically saw like practically a glimpse of at the end of the
Yeah.
first film. It was very impactful, and it did. The first film would have left you sat there asking loads of questions. Who's this guy? What's he doing now? Da da
Mm.
da. And then this film goes and addresses all those things, and that's really and then develops his character. So it's like it's really interesting, like actually, you know how they went because I watched as well. I think it was yesterday. I watched the behind the scenes, the making of this film, the documentary.
Mm.
Um, and it was all pretty standard stuff. It broke down some of the elements, which I'll go into myself with my secondhand information. But still, like, I really I appreciate this film a lot, actually, in terms of what it did in terms of setting up the rest of the franchise. I mean, for
Yeah.
example, I'll go into one specifically because I don't know if we'll have the chance to bring it up later. But I love the fact that they really went in because in the first film, you know, it mostly takes place in the bathroom, which is quite
Yeah.
while it's disgusting and dirty, you know, set, it's relatively well lit
Yeah.
compared to
That is something
compared to basically the rest of the films. Every other trap we see from now on
yeah, it's a nice
is
dark
like the
shifty.
razor wire trap and the wax trap from the first film, where it's got this green hue on it, this tint,
Yeah.
which has just become such a trademark of the Saw franchise, and I really and it's like a character of its own within the films, right? Just this like it just is just unpleasant and disgusting, and it's like and the way from the documentary seeing the cast and the crew, like it's the kind of when they were on set, it's the kind of place you want to have a shower as soon as you get off the set, and that really shines through in the films, which I really enjoy. I really appreciate that. That is, they looked
Yeah.
at the first film and they decided those some of those, you know, for example, those are some of the things that they brought through and carried into the rest. Um,
Mm.
I think it was really interesting.
Yeah, and I will say the sets in both of these films, like they're really like, despite the relatively quite low budget, they're really good. Like, it doesn't show any like lacking, or it doesn't like draw you out of it for any point. I mean,
Yeah.
it does help that the whole sequence inside the house was filmed in one house. So, I mean, why wouldn't you? I
Well,
guess,
actually,
but
the entire film was filmed in one location, in one set in Canada, and it's like a massive warehouse with 27 different rooms in it, 20 different sets, which they filmed this entire
sure.
film in. That's yeah. So you're right. It's literally all filmed in one house, not just the plot, like the actual traps, but the entire film. You know,
Yeah,
which is obviously cool.
yeah. I mean, that certainly helps it, I think. I mean, it keeps the fact that it's all like kept quite close together.
Yeah,
This is this is a really well knit together film, I will say.
yeah.
Uh,
Even though it's is low budget. I mean, the first film was obviously low budget. You can tell that by watching it, and not because there was anything bad about it, but you can
yeah,
just tell there were certain limits, probably things they wanted to do but couldn't afford to do. And in this film, I didn't get that. This was a much more of a polished effort, and I was really surprised when I saw how low the budget was. I thought this would be more like 10 million or something because it's you know there's a lot of really great stuff that they did with the set design and with everything. You know, there's quite a big cast compared to the first film as well,
yeah. Also, there's a lot of
and the
people in
traps themselves are a bit more elaborate. So I think that's really good.
it. Hmm.
And it really surprised me that this was only $4 million budget. And first of all, why didn't they invest more? But secondly, you you're glad they didn't because obviously budget doesn't guarantee quality, as we well know.
Yeah, we certainly know that. Well, I feel it's only appropriate to jump into it
Let's jump in then. So we
because,
open with the Venus flytrap.
yeah,
So
well,
this is
the
a
death face
fucked
one.
up trap.
Yeah, it's like this is like that. This is like the head of that thing that one of the was it? It might have been Val Kilmer's. Someone's Batman had like a had like that torch device from like like South America or something. where like you stand in it and it would like close on you, and it's got all these spikes in it, but it's not like it obviously wouldn't actually do that.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah. I know what you mean. Well, this is like this is a fucked up track, man, and it's great that they just open the film with something like this because obviously the iconic trap from the Saw franchise, which was established in the first film, was the reverse bear trap. And what they
yeah,
did here is they didn't use the same trap. They kind of did something similar, like in the same theme, but obviously a different style, which is cool. And this is a really fucked up one. We're going to go on to rank this against the worst trap from the first film, which we
yeah.
established was the wax trap. But this one is bad, man. Not because of the trap itself, because at least this one's a quick death. But
The fact that he has to
yeah,
get the key from behind his eye, like,
yeah, man. He turns on the TV and then he sees, Jigsaw. He's like, oh, this is where it's. I'll give you a clue,
it's
considering your
right
disadvantage.
before
It's in
your
his
eyes.
fucking eyeball, man. Um,
Yeah,
so and all he's given when he pulls the thing off and he like looks in the fucking toolbox, he's only got a scalpel in there. That's so fucked up.
yeah. I
I
mean,
found
to be
that
fair, what
interesting.
else are you gonna use? A spoon?
Well, I don't. Yeah. I found that interesting. That's the other parallel to this in the reverse bear trap from the first film, is because all Amanda got was a scalpel as well to
Yeah,
dig out the thing.
yeah. But
So
at least she had to dig out of someone else, not herself.
yeah, man. Um, and the fact that when he's watching the take back where Jigsaw is, he's watching. It's like there's a
His own
cutback. He's like,
surgery.
oh,
Yeah,
don't worry. Like, you see Jigsaw there, like fucking doing surgery on the guy, man. While he's like, he's out cold, and it's like, don't worry, you can't feel a thing. And the guy's like literally fucking putting this, like digging his eye out, man, and like putting this key in, and it's like, oh, it's fucking disgusting. The makeup and everything they did for this is like so spot on.
mm.
Um, this is a really fucked up trap, man. And
Yeah.
obviously, go on, sorry.
Just for it being the very beginning, you just think, yeah, this guy's just not gonna get out, is it? Otherwise, there's no shock value, is there?
Yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, I mean, it's always. I don't know, I mean, yeah, someone failing to get out of the trap. But this time we see it in live. I think this might be the first trap we see someone die in while it's happening on screen. Because in the first film we see the guys, the razor trap and wax trap.
Yeah,
They're
they all
found.
happened a while
It
ago.
happens in a flashback, yeah, because the police find it and then they like work out what happened. This one we actually see happening in real time.
Well, you got the officer in the previous one who died from the very educational shotgun trap.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. um, but yeah, anyway, at least this one's a quick death. But I think this is going to be like from all the traps in this film, this is one which,
Yeah, one that I would not want to be in.
yeah, fuck. We'll come on to rank this one. So Venus flytrap. Then we cut over to Eric Matthews, played by Donnie Wahlberg, brother of Mark Wahlberg. You knew that, right?
Yeah, I totally knew
Okay.
that.
I watched this film the first few times, and I was like, "This guy looks familiar,
Yeah, he
man."
looks similar to another famous actor.
He's the spitting image of his brother, man. Just like with a slightly worse hairline.
Oh,
Um, so yeah, and I realized, and I was like, he looks a bit like someone I know, man. And I looked up his name, Wahlberg, and I'm like, oh shit. And then I realized, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. Um,
so he gets to have his "Are you winning, son?" moment.
Yeah, it's almost like you've got an A-list actor in this film, but obviously he's not. But like, he's still a
The
very
relative of one.
yeah, and he's
Yeah,
like he's a good actor. This guy, I really got into his character because he's like he's really able to convey a lot of like deep emotions, like and layered emotions with a in
yeah,
Saw.
with his drunken
At the
rage.
end of the day, this is why it kind of annoys me when people label Saw films as just torture porn, bad plots, just a horror film. They're not. I mean, they are all those things, but I mean, without the bad plot. They,
The
they
plot
are
is
they are
good, to be
torture
fair.
porn and they are like horror films, but they're also like psychological thrillers with really good acting and story behind them.
Yeah,
Um,
otherwise there wouldn't be like seven of the mainline, would there?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
people wanted them. No one like,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a film doesn't. Other film series is where it's just torture porn. They don't. they're not like super successful immediately. The reason why Saw was so popular was because it had that like amazing twist at the end and so on that made so
That's
many
right.
people go and get this, like on DVD and so on. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not just they're like, oh yeah, I saw someone get like had to saw their own foot off. That was sick. Like
yeah. Yeah,
even though
you're
that
right.
was pretty sick.
That's a really good point because you don't really see many horror franchises where they continue on from each other. It's usually, I mean, I don't know, like if I can name an example, like Wrong Turn or some shit like that. Yeah, it's the same, effectively the same things happening, but to completely different people. Whereas this is like, okay, yeah, the traps are, but there's always like two plots going on, and one is with Jigsaw, and then later on someone like Hoffman or whoever, and there's always
Yeah.
that continuation, and that literally that timeline carries along across 7 films. That's very fucking impressive. And obviously in the
Mhm.
eighth film, they're trying. I don't want to spoil
Yeah, I
future.
haven't seen the eighth film, so don't spoil it for
Okay,
me.
okay. Well, you'll see. But anyway, so yeah, we meet Eric Matthews, and we get a just quick glimpse into his life where he's at. He's got this fucking son, man, who's a dickhead.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
hey, I want to ask you something, Henry, because when I watched
Would I
the
disown him? Yes.
no, when I watched the behind the scenes, I discovered the supposed age of this kid. How old do you think he was supposed to be in this film?
Well, this is American casting, so I'm guessing he's supposed to be 12.
How old do you think he was?
How old do I think like the actor was, or the
Yeah,
kid's
yeah,
supposed to be?
sure.
The actor's probably like he looks like no younger than 18.
He's 17. And his character's meant to be 17 as well. But I got the opposite impression. I got the impression he was like 14 or something, man. Like he doesn't. He looks like when's he gonna hit puberty, man? I don't know. Like there's a bit later on in the film where one of the guys goes, "Yeah, man, you've got juvie written all over you." I'm like, "Are you sure
Does he
about that, mate?
really?
This guy looks like a choir boy, man." Well, anyway, he's got an attitude, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck you, dad." Like,
Yeah,
and his dad, Matthew's a bit of a deadbeat himself, and
yeah. It's like, yeah, I'm so glad Mum left you.
yeah, man. Oh, I think I might go home early, like fucking, oh, you're a better cop than a father, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So we get a bit of those, like,
Yeah, but to
like
be fair, imagine arresting your own kid. Like,
yeah, it's bad, man. But it's like, it doesn't, although what I like is, what I appreciate, yeah, is they don't need to beat you over the head with it. You just get one scene, you know
yeah,
where you're
it
at,
doesn't last too
and you
long. It's
move
just
on.
like we get it.
You move on very quickly.
Mm.
Yeah, so then he's called over to the scene. Eric Matthews is called over to the scene by Kerry, who
Yeah,
was in the
by his
first
like
film.
psycho partner. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
It's cool that we get a recurring character as well because
Mm.
from Saw 1 to Saw 2, we have 3 recurring characters. We have John Kramer, we have Kerry, and we have Amanda, of course, as well. So
Yeah,
that's,
don't forget Adam's corpse in the bathroom.
yeah, and his foot. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Um,
starring Carrie Elwes's foot.
so anyway, we get Kerry there, and she calls him over to the crime scene, which is of the Venus flytraps. Sorry, my dog's getting involved here. I don't know if you can see him. Um, And so anyway, she's like, oh yeah, check out this guy's a rat. Oh yeah, that's by the way, we've got to mention this is why the guy was in the fly trap in the first place because he was a grass, he was a snitch,
Oh yeah, he was an informant.
an informant exactly. So
Yeah, I was like,
snitches get stitches, man. Jigsaw's one of us.
yeah, I kind of felt bad for the copper here because like his partner was like, oh yeah, we're pretty sure this is him, but and then he's like, well, couldn't you just look at him and tell? And he's like, oh, she's like, oh well, that's the problem. And
Yeah.
then like, yeah, therein lies the problem. And then she's like, oh yeah, here's your partner. It's like he's like completely fucked up, and then this guy's scarred for life from it.
Oh yeah,
You're like,
exactly.
you're not gonna preference by saying like, yeah, his face got kind of like messed up by this trap, so you might wanna take a
That's a
breather
fucked
before you
up
go.
trap, man. At least it's a quick death. That's the only thing. Like a lot of these traps, just like slow, painful deaths,
Yeah,
burning to death, or fucking bleeding to death, or fucking whatever. Like this is like, all right, all those nails are going in your face. You're done, man. I think that's a very quick death. That's the most you can really ask for in a sword trap, isn't it?
yeah, but my
But I
death
mean,
is
if you're in
quick.
one,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, he identifies the fact that yeah, that's him. He's got the jigsaw piece cut out of him. There's some fucking shit on the wall which says, "Look closer, Detective Matthews."
oh yeah, yeah, that's why they called him over
Come back
specifically.
there. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Anyway, so they go back to the office, and them two are having a fucking bit of Barney there with Kerry and Matthews. Like, oh yeah, you fucking this and that. I've got my first Sigma line here,
You do?
where he's refusing to even look at her, man, and then because he's pissed off with her, right? And then she goes and grabs him by the arm, and he's like, "What if I'm asking?" And then he goes, "Can't help you," brushes the arm off and goes back to his desk, man. So bit of Jack Nicholson, John Napier,
Yeah,
John
yeah.
Napier,
Someone watched Batman '89 before before they went to the office. I don't know.
yeah, man. Um, so that's my first Sigma nomination. Anyway, they somehow work out. They look back at the tape. They work out where Jigsaw's hideout is. So bang, we get in the fucking SWAT car, SWAT van. We see Detective Rigg as well, who doesn't play a prominent part in this film, but we'll see more of him.
Yeah,
And yeah, man, they go to Jigsaw's hideout. Right.
yeah. That's the thing I found. Like in like from the second film, you'd think they probably would have thought in the office like, oh, they we've got like this really well beloved, I'd say, character Jigsaw now. Let's like drag out his arc as long as possible. But they're literally in second film, police have already raided his house. Like
I really appreciate
they're not
that.
wasting any time here.
Yeah, because in the first film, the first film is all about the plot really and how it unravels, and they leave everything until the end. So it's like it's not a slow. Well, it is quite a slow build up because it's you're in the bathroom and they're like working things out as they go along.
Yeah, and they find out more and more stuff as they go along.
In this film, it's I love that. In fact, and I was fucking surprised by that watching it last night. Even though I've seen this film, a handful of times,
Yeah.
I was like, shit, like we're
Yeah.
already in.
Yeah,
I was like, I
they feel
forgot how
like
quick it started.
firing on all cylinders, like.
Yeah, man. So
But the fact that
it's
it's kind of
great.
almost like a little bit like overwhelming for like the police as well, though, because like that's why it takes them so long to figure out what's going on, because so much is happening that they can't like really think straight, and then think, what if this is previous footage? Like,
Well, I don't know. I mean, this is definitely not a film you'd want to be late for in the cinema. That's for sure.
yeah,
Um.
yeah, that's for sure.
Anyway,
I'd be confused as shit.
so they rock up at Jigsaw's hideout. They kick down the door. On their way up some stairs, they see Billy the puppet laughing at them,
Yeah,
and we get like,
who is now, I may mention, not controlled by a
oh yeah,
fishing line in the previous film. They actually could afford to make him mechanical.
yeah, that's where the budget went. Um,
Just be the puppets,
we
pimp my ride.
Yep, we get our second trap, which is like this shin breaker, which is fucking horrible, man.
Yeah, that sound
Oh,
effect they use.
yeah, the sound editing is amazing in this film.
Yeah,
And
I really hope that that SWAT officer learned something about his life then.
that was disgusting, man. Because you only see it for a split second, but you just see his fucking like
The
leg like
spring
this, and then
lock,
the
yeah.
fucking block going into it, and just like snapping it back, and oh, it's fucking disgusting, man.
Yeah.
Fuck that shit, man. And then they all get electrocuted as well, like just for insurance.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. They're all given like personal joy buzzers.
yeah, man. So anyway, they go up and they when then they he's there right in front of them, John fucking Kramer, man.
Yeah, he's not even running now. He's just because he's hooked up to his IV drip, and
He's also he's still donning his cloak from the first film, Inside Out, of course. Um, and yeah, man, he's straight in there. He's fucking antagonizing Eric Matthews. He's winding him up. Oh yeah, he first gets in there and he goes, "Is this close enough?" For
yeah, is
the
that how's your son, by the way?
yeah, man.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and he's really fucking. He's like straight away getting straight
Yeah,
in there.
he's proper winding up. He knows this guy got like anger issues or something.
Yeah, for sure, man. But what's really good is like I said, the acting from Donnie Wahlberg really sells that because even though he's
Yeah.
not overly angry at the beginning, you can see he's got this sort of face of like this calm face, but you can see like the
You can
rage
see it
boiling
boiling
up.
underneath.
He'd
Yeah.
like he'd do anything just to fuck him up, man. And he's just stood there. He's sat there like trying to control himself basically the whole film.
Hmm.
That's like really good, like layered acting, man. Got to say. Um, we get the iconic quote here from Jigsaw. Oh yes. Wait, let me do it. Oh yes, there will be blood.
Yeah,
And
as well because like they've all got like a nerve
so,
agent in them.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, he
Those
fucking
people in the house, that is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They it's like, I'm worried about your problem, and it's like the problem in their office, and they go and fucking open up. They see all the computers there, the monitors, and like, oh shit, that's my son. Comes back, your son is in a safe and secure state. So remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, remember
And
that he's safe and secure.
this is my second Sigma quote, or not even. This isn't. Well, it is a quote, but when he goes over, right, when he's like, "Oh, give me a phone," like Eric Matthews, like, "Give me a phone, let me call my son." He calls his son, and
Yeah.
someone's taken the time to record a voicemail on his son's phone to say, "I'm sorry, Daniel's not here at the moment." Like,
He's probably just like bored or something, waiting for the police to turn up. He's like, oh, I know this is gonna really piss him off.
yeah, man, that's like some next level dark Sigma shit, man. Just to fuck with the guy, man.
Yeah, you could have either done that or just have Billy the Puppet laugh down it.
I just love it because he's literally just gone and like met Jigsaw, comes back, calls the phone, and just hears his voice, and he's
Yeah,
like,
then he comes back, he's like, you
and
can't.
obviously it gives just that little extra, like, just shows, Jigsaw's John Kramer's actual attention to detail there and anticipating everything in a very small way, and in a, maybe I'm a bit sick for saying it, but a humorous way, right? But yeah, it's just like this guy has thought of everything, you know.
Mm.
So anyway, then we get to actually get inside the house trap. So we have 8 people in this room. 5 men, 3 women, and a child. Sorry, 4 men, 3 women, and a child.
Yeah.
One of whom is Amanda. So she wakes up. She's the last one to wake up. They're all like, "What the fuck are we doing here, man?"
Yeah, you got the giant like, drug dealer guy who's like
Yeah,
he's just there to be, the lunk of the group.
yeah, he is, man, and he plays up to it really well. I mean, throughout this film, he's like just
Yeah,
fucking.
it's like a very easy that would be a very easy role for like someone to overact in or like kind of do it over the top, but he doesn't
I
in a
mean,
way.
all these characters are pretty like two-dimensional, right? But they're all really effective in doing that. They're all
Hmm.
like, you don't sit there at any point and question any of them. You're like, yeah, this is like they're all convincing in their own way. It's good casting, to be fair, as well. Good
Hmm.
writing. We got a whole bunch of them. We'll break them down as we come along. No pun intended. But what we have here, yeah, Amanda wakes up. She finds the tape in like the brick wall, and you know, Amanda's character is good and like what she goes on to do in the franchise, but I think in this film she's the weakest. I'm not convinced by her
Yeah, because
acting
it's
that much.
like
She's a bit overacting at times, don't you think?
I always question like really what she needs in this film. Is it just so they can say she's in all of them like along the way? So it doesn't like if they put her in a third film, like she's magically just there.
Well, I think it was important because we go on to discover a little bit. I mean, there is a reason as we go on to discover why she's in there, but yeah, I know what you mean. I think yeah, it wasn't really necessary, but I think it added just an interesting element, and the fact that obviously when you're going to this film never having seen all the others, and you're like, oh, that's the girl from the first film in the Reverse Bear Trap. Wow, like
Yeah.
Shawnee Smith. It's like I don't know. Um, I don't know what they were doing with her hair though in the film. I don't know
Yeah,
what
true. Yeah, that's the
that
one
was
thing that
strange.
like made me sort of like she's got the fucking
I don't know
spiky
what that
hair.
was. It's just like a
Like
really
looks like a
bad like
fucking
wig.
Dragon Ball character or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, whatever. So anyway, they basically fucking decide they find a key as well, and they're like, "Let's get out of here." Open the door, and the Mark Corrigan of this room,
Hmm.
he goes and gets shot in the face by the gun behind the door. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
fucked up.
hope he learned something from that.
Yeah, that was really a meaningful trap. But again, quick death, nothing too fancy. It just like just there to like fuck everyone up, and obviously emphasize the fact they've got to play by the rules because the
Yeah,
door
exactly.
ended up opening by itself, didn't it? Eventually. Anyway, so then we
Yeah,
get back to
they also are told that they all have the numbers before
oh yeah, in the back of them.
for the safe, right, which has antidote in it for the nerve agent in their veins. Which is apparently like Jigsaw's favorite thing to say when he says coursing through someone's veins.
I noticed that as well. Yeah, there's a slow acting agent coursing through your
Yeah,
veins.
but yeah, all the numbers they have just in the back of their minds.
Herm. Although I think that's really like I think
Really
that's a
clever.
really interesting way they did that because it's like that is the trademark of these jigsaw of these films. You really have to pay attention to what he says, and they, and everything has like a double meaning, and not everything is as it seems. There's always double meaning behind these things, and I think that's really like it's really good because that's what makes the ending so impactful.
Yeah, because it's
Uh,
like,
and when you rewatch the films as well, then you hear him say these things, and you're like, oh shit, and then you know what it means, and then
yeah,
it gives
it's
it
like,
rewatch value as well, right? So anyway, we get back to Eric Matthews with John Kramer. He's explained the rules, but he's like, I just want to talk.
yeah. All you have to do is sit here and talk with me, essentially.
Yep.
Which is very
He's just
clever.
testing his patience. That's Eric Matthews' trap for now. And what we get here is a little bit of his backstory, whatever. He's like, oh, let me introduce myself. I'm John Kramer. And he goes, I thought you could, you like to go by the name Jigsaw. And he's like, no, I didn't. That's just what the
Yeah.
tabloids called me. The Jigsaw was only ever a symbol, a missing piece the fabric of human nature, which is the survival instinct. So if one of his victims doesn't have the will to live, that's the missing piece. So he cuts out, which I think
Mm.
is a pretty cool.
It is, yeah. It's not like I don't know why it took me only this time to realize what he meant because like the first time I was probably like just too tired to understand him. But I thought that was quite good because it's not just like a little gimmick like they
Yeah,
on the surface it looks like, but then he actually explains, no, actually, this is all part of my ideology and this was very well thought through.
and I do wonder if that was the thinking in the first film, because obviously the jigsaw piece is in that as well. But I wonder if this is something that the scriptwriter for this film, who was also the director, if he sat there and thought, okay, if he already had that explained for him, or if he thought of that himself, like what could this jigsaw thing represent? That. But either way, it's very cool.
Yeah,
And then he asks for a glass of water in the most frail old man way possible. He's
yeah.
got
It's
this
like
cup. He's like,
you wouldn't, yeah,
glass of water. And he's like shaking that, like, and he's like, it's crazy, man. He's
yeah.
just
You
like,
wouldn't
at the
say
end
no
of the
to a
day,
cancer patient,
he's
would
he's
you?
like a frail old man, but he's like this super villain as well.
Hmm.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, it does play with your expectations quite a lot in this.
Yeah, definitely. And he's like really fucking with Eric Matthews, man. He's just like halfway through explaining, he's thinking, oh, can you give me a glass of water?
Yeah, it's like
Um,
your son is in. Can you just
yeah.
turn off the light over there?
Um, Anyway, so we get back to the guys in the house. We get our third Sigma quote here because they arrive at a door. Well, actually, it's in the frame here that we have on screen for the audio listeners, and it's the door like an exit, which the big guy Xavier can't open. And she goes, "Oh, you fucking," calls him something, and he goes, "Oh, what do you know? The only door you," and he like does the whole body. The only door you know how to open is between your legs. Like he
Yeah, she
goes
just tells him to
full
shut the fuck up.
leg. Like, yeah, man. Um, I think that's got to go into our Sigma
Yeah,
quotes
he's got the
section as
proper
well.
like fucking American high school fucking bully like thing he's doing
Big
here.
time, man. He's the jock, man. He's like fucking shoving kids in the locker rooms, and shit, stealing. Like
Yeah,
this
giving him
guy's like
wedgies and
this
so on.
drug dealer, man. He's got the prison tattoos. I love it, man. It's just like, just proper hallmark.
Yeah, it's like
Like,
some people like you can like knock him for being oh yeah 2-dimensional, but he plays that like to a T, man.
yeah, exactly. What more do you want, man? Anyway, they find a door to the basement, where they find a furnace, the furnace trap. Um, and we there's like a fucking, I didn't know if that was a dead body or a puppet in there, or like a
Pretty sure it
mannequin or
was
some shit.
it might have been like a dead body with a mask over it, something. I
Yeah, it
don't
was
know.
a bit confusing there, but whatever. The point is, there's a tape in there for Obi, and it turns out that Obi is
Yeah,
the Sigma male of the group who
who kidnapped them all.
yeah, and he's like the silent one. He's the most Polish looking guy ever as well. But he's really like the Sigma among them, isn't he? He's like not talking,
Yeah, I
he's
didn't.
back all the
I
time.
until that point I hadn't even noticed he was there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he was
Well, it's
just
funny.
like, because he probably woke up and he was like, oh shit.
Oh fuck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he probably shit himself because he's like, oh, hope they don't find out.
Yeah.
But as
But
well, he's there, and he's like earlier. He adjusts the painting and stuff as well, doesn't he? So like when I rewatch it, I do notice him. But yeah, he's like up until this point, it's like, oh yeah, shit, that guy,
Yeah.
Obi. Um,
Yeah,
so
they're
yeah,
all
he's
like,
like the
oh,
silent one. He's like just observing everyone. But yeah, you're right. He's also shitting himself.
yeah, yeah. In this tape, just Jigsaw just baits him out. He's like, yeah, this guy kidnapped you all.
Yeah, yeah, he fucking exposes him, man. And the guy Xavier's like, yeah, get us the fuck out of here, you know. And then this is like, it's like this guy is
Yeah, he's
like
got a knife
like
to his
an
neck, and he's
actual
like,
unironic Sigma male, man, because he's like puts the knife against his neck, man, and then he like presses against it. If you're gonna, threaten me, you might as well cut me, you know, like shit, man. He's like, what the fuck, man? And
yeah,
they're all
this
like,
this guy just
and
wants
even
to die.
Xavier's like spooked out. He's like, what the fuck is this guy, man? Um, anyway, so he's like, yeah, well, guess I'm going in then.
Yeah,
And then
they make him crawl into an oven.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Now, this is where it's a bit like confusing for me because he just goes and changes character. Suddenly he's starting to talk to himself. He's like, oh yeah, yippity doo, I got my one and this one, and they can photo this one, and oh yeah, oh I'm gonna have roast dinner for lunch, and oh yeah, great.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
I don't know. That was a bit, but the point is, oh, I've lost my pen. There. That's the funny thing. He's doing all this like, and you think like, oh shit, this guy's going to play a big part. He just goes in this oven trap and fails and
Yeah,
dies.
he just gets burned to death.
He
The
gets the
thing
most.
is, I never understood is like it's an oven, and you've already seen like some traps here so far. Why wouldn't you think just to like maybe block the door with like your shoe or something?
Yeah, man. I mean, this is a pretty like not embarrassing or humiliating death. I don't really know what to, but it's just like this guy. He doesn't get like the death that he would have
Yeah,
selected for himself,
exactly.
man. He
Exactly.
was
It's
not
like you're
prepared
in
to
a
take the knife and like die on his knees and stuff, die on his feet, whatever. But like he goes in here, he's just like starts screaming like a bitch, man. I mean, of course he would. But it just seemed
yeah,
like
yeah.
he
Oh, what a
just
bitch,
started. He
man! He's on
just
fire.
changed. He just changed character. I don't know, like all of a sudden. But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
again,
He
this is what
broke
Jigsaw's
character
doing.
and
He's
felt pain.
exposing people for who they are, man. Like are they really about it? That trap, by the way, was pretty much entirely practical. There were real flames in there and
It
shit. And it
actually
was like,
set him on fire.
huh. Well, no, 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 it did. There
It
was a
did.
stuntman. Yeah, there was a stuntman in there, obviously with fireproof trousers and stuff. But there's a stuntman in there. He was on. He was like had flames on him and shit. It was like pretty much practically done. So that's quite interesting.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, they like fully. I was watching this documentary. They like constructed the furnace pretty much, and it was mostly practical. Obviously, that you could remove the sides so they could film inside there, but very interesting.
Yeah, they
Um,
melted like 60 cameras trying to get the right shot.
yeah, yeah. They try and get him out, but it's too hot, and they try and smash the window. Oh man, you get the fucking
Yeah, the
Titanic
handprint, man.
remix, man. Like the hand on the window, but it's not like hot love making, man. It's hot fucking death, man. He's like puts the hand on the fucking window and then fucking smashes his own head through it, and he's like, ugh, fucking dies, man. So pretty brutal. Anyway, we get back to Kramer and Matthews, and Kramer goes on to explain literally his villain origin story.
Yeah.
He explains, I've never murdered anyone.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
because he's like, yeah, you're a serial killer, and he's like, I never killed anyone. Which
yeah,
is very, very fucking dubious, but
very
anyway.
liberal, yeah, man. Although, yeah, I mean, and
It's
then
like,
Eric
okay, you
Matthews
didn't
he's
actually
the fan.
pull
He
the trigger.
goes, well, putting a gun to their head and making them is still murder.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like literally like saying, oh, well, and anyway. But
Forgive
if
me
I
if I
mention
mentioned
that
this.
name, then
Forgive me if I mentioned this last week, but I actually looked up the laws of like how that would work in America for
yeah,
how
which
he would
state?
be. So he wouldn't be charged. He would be charged for murder, but second degree murder. So that's to the letter of the law. So he is technically, in the eyes of the law, murderer, but second degree murder. So it's
Yeah,
not
but
like,
who's to say that the justice system is right in this country?
well, who's to say? Exactly. That's my argument. And it's not this country,
Yeah,
thankfully.
hashtag free jigsaw. Yeah, yeah, I know, but like,
Free jigsaw, yeah, man. Did nothing
even though
wrong,
he's
man.
fucking
Didn't
dead,
kill
but yeah.
anyone. Anyway, and he goes, yeah, and he explains his origin story. He's like, yeah, man, fucking, how do you feel if you knew the day you would die? And,
Yeah, it
it's
changes
fucking
your life.
changes your life. And this is what is really cool. And obviously, this is what they touched on in the first film and then develop in this film, where the premise for all of this is really actually believable because
Yeah,
you
his like
got guy.
philosophy is like way deeper in this, where
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
actually like there's actually some real fucking deep meaning behind these films, which is why it just annoys me when people just completely ignore that because this is a guy who is told the day he's gonna die, he actually and how that changes your life and how that would how that could affect someone that is fucked up in the head anyway, like John Kramer is, I suppose. But I think it's just it's a fascinating concept to go and explore and unique. I don't this
Yeah,
kind
it's like, like people can go there, people will go their entire lives, they'll be drinking like, I don't know, a glass of water, but they will never really taste it.
yeah, man.
While
It's
it's
like
while it's
shit.
having a little
It's
sip,
like
you know.
it's crazy that you have a film like this that actually, I mean, for me anyway, does make you walk away and go, yeah, shit, man. Like this is what I really like about these. This is why the Saw franchise is so good for me, because it does make you question your morality a little bit, like some of the best sci-fi films do, or films like this is what some of the greatest films, Christopher Nolan, whoever you want to mention, they go out to make a film to make you question your own,
Your
your
worldview.
morality or your existence or whatever, like Matrix, you name it, man. These films like design, and I think Saw films genuinely will make you do that if you're paying attention to what's going on and you're not just there for torture porn. You'll go there and you'll go, shit, man, yeah, like it'll cherish your life, all these things. And even though obviously John Kramer is going about preaching that message in a very violent, fucked up way,
Yeah.
what it does is explains why he arrived at that kind of. I think it's really actually genuinely intriguing way of setting up a whole franchise. It's fascinating,
Yeah.
and like I said, first and foremost, believable. You know,
Yeah. But the officer's just not having any of his shit.
he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah, man. He goes on as well to explain that he had a failed suicide attempt. He's like, oh yeah, I tried to take my own life, and he
Yeah,
fucking
pulls the
literally
biggest
drove
pull of
himself
all
off a
time
cliff.
out of himself.
um, This is a bit weird. This scene always is weird for me because you're seeing like John Craig. Like what I don't like about this film, and I know it's necessary for like the actual storyline, but you see what I like about John Kramer and all all the films
You
except
didn't
this
see
one is
him
that
too much.
no, he's always in control and he's always like sure of himself and he's never like um vulnerable in a sense, in that he's being like in this film he's like violently fucked up twice. The first one is where he's like tried to kill himself and then like pulling something out of his own
Yeah,
and
and
he's
later
like
on
he's
where
there and he's all like fucked up and scared and shit, man. You're like, it's a bit strange to
yeah, but that
see
would
this guy
explain
like.
how he changed, how his life changed it and all that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then later on where he gets beaten up, but then he probably expected that at some point.
I guess so he has this failed suicide attempt and he goes, after that I decided to dedicate my life to testing the fabric of human nature, which is fucking like like
Yeah,
some
pretty
fucked
fucked
up
up.
shit. But it's these films. This is what they make you do. They make you sit there and like for all these traps, they make you sit there and go, "What would I do?" And like and you don't know because obviously the adrenaline and everything. But it does make you go, "Oh, what would I? How much blood would you spill to save your life or whatever it is?" It's like it's actually a really interesting concept, I think.
Mm.
So we go back to the guys now. Unless you have anything more to add, to
Nah, I don't know. I don't really
you
like.
don't identify with the John Kramer cause, eh?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not a real
Part timer.
Kramerite. No.
Anyway, we go back to the house. Amanda, she's like explaining her origin story as well. How obviously, well, what we already knew in the first film, where she was a heroin addict, and that's why she ended up in the bear trap. That's why John Kramer selected her for that trap. And did she learn a lesson? Not really, because then she started self harming, and that's why she's back in a
Yeah, and
sword.
John Kramer doesn't like it when you self-harm guys.
Yeah, having been there himself. So anyway, but so she set it back into a sword trap, and it's like this is why I'm here. And then we basically get into the needle pit room trap.
Yeah, which is you may have seen something about this in the making of, but like there's like 120,000 needles there, and
Yeah,
then they had to replace. It took them 4 days to replace all the ends and so on and so forth,
that's right.
and they had to like essentially lube up the pit so you could actually move around in it.
Yep,
Um,
that's right.
like,
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I mean,
Now,
it's I don't know
um,
that this pit you could really easily game it just by like everyone take off your jacket, chuck it in there, someone like lower
right.
someone in, but obviously
Just put
the
like
muscle
shoes on
heads.
your feet and then like use them to shovel through.
Yeah,
Um, Whenever I watch like top 10 lists, top 10 like saw traps or whatever, this is usually right up there. I think it's a funny one. This is like quite polarizing trap because I think a lot of people obviously have a phobia of needles. Some people just can't handle needles. I don't know
Some
about
people
you.
love needles like me.
Well, yeah, some people. Well, yeah, and had new done through this COVID
Jigsaw
shit as well, which we won't go
also
into. But
also when I saw this, Jigsaw's got to be a fucking billionaire with how much drugs he's got in there. Unless
yeah,
it's just like I don't know, because
well,
Amanda survives that somehow.
yeah, the needle. Well, I don't know. Like for me, of all the traps, I think this is one I would personally like. If I had to choose one, this is probably one of the ones I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, because it's that
You
you
know,
have more kind of control over it, so to say.
the thing I'd be like, the biggest concern for me would be getting some kind of infection off the dirty needles. But other than
Yeah,
that,
true.
I think that that'd be largely curable. So
Do you reckon that John Kramer's been like collecting like needles off the street for like years to get this trap
probably, yeah,
working?
man. Um,
He
this
just
is
has
like
like a he has like a
it's funny to me
yeah
how this trap was actually intended for Xavier as well, but Amanda ends up in it, and it's so funny because Kramer obviously wouldn't have intended that, but it turns out that's actually quite fitting since she's a heroine. Well, although she's already been through the test for that, so it's kind of unfair. I don't know.
yeah
The thing
true.
about
It is
this
unfair.
film as well is that there because there were 8 people, there were meant to be 8 traps, but obviously some of them don't survive to actually
Yeah,
get
some
trapped.
of the guy died like 2 seconds in.
Right. Well, he did fall to a trap. But anyway, one thing I wanted to comment upon as well is the tape that they find. Like he's like, yeah, think of it as and finding a needle in a haystack. Huh, huh, huh.
Yeah, he has this little
I
laugh.
think
He's
that
like,
was
yeah,
really
I've got to give
bad,
myself
man.
credit.
That was bad. Like the sore laugh on the tape. And he does it a couple of times in this film, but on the tape it's especially like feels really like out of place.
Yeah.
Um, But anyway, the needle pit. What do you think about that trap, Henry? This is like one of the most famous saw traps. So,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I would have just,
how are you with needles in general?
I wouldn't have been too bothered really. I would have just been like free drugs. Am I right? Nah. I don't know. Like we said, this is if actually Jigsaw, like he's trying to foster some teamwork with these guys. Like, yeah, look at the back of your heads, guys. Or like, you can work together through the power of friendship to get out of this, but they obviously don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's and the funny thing about this trap is as well is you get like she actually finds the key, which is pretty unbelievable. Like she fucking found
Yeah, exactly.
and
All
installed that.
those needles.
And then gives it to Xavier, and he fucks up big time, man. He can't even unlock. He's just like can't unlock the
Yeah,
fucking
he
door. It's like,
fumbles it,
what the
man.
fuck, man? Yeah, he proper fumbles it. Um, and then you get the fourth Sigma quote. And I think so far we've had quotes from like 3 different people. This is Xavier's second one where he goes, which is fucking dumb as shit. So I don't really think this will end up winning. But where he goes, the only thing you people, because the whole point is that they've all got something in common, right? Which is like
Yeah.
if they figure that out, they'll whatever. And he goes, the only thing you people have got in common is holding me back. And then he
Yeah, he just
fucking
yeah.
walks out there like, you sure, man? You just fucked up opening a door, like. But anyway, I always find that quote was cracks me up. Um, so yeah. Um, at this point, so we go back to Matthews and what's his name, Kramer. They're like, and the other cops, obviously.
Yeah.
And they're getting fucking tired. They're running out of time. They're like, fuck this shit. So he's like, yeah, destroy his work. So Matthews
Yeah,
does
I
the most
love this bit.
dramatic paper tearing ever, man.
Yeah, he's literally just like he's just ripping it right in front of him. And John Kramer
Yeah,
just
man.
sat there like,
Craig doesn't give a fuck, man.
yeah, he's
Either.
just like, I hope you're enjoying destroying all this evidence, Mr. Matthews. And then like
Yeah, he's like just trashing the office, man.
he's just like, I
Uh,
don't. He literally just doesn't care. Like by this point, I would have just realized, no, he probably doesn't really give a shit. He's probably got this all backed up on his Google Drive or whatever.
Yeah, man, in 2005. Kramer, yeah, and then Kramer starts shoveling the dirt, man. He's like, yeah, kind of guy that would plant evidence, that would shoot an unarmed suspect, that would,
Yeah, the
fuck.
sort of person who beats his wife.
Yeah, exactly. The sort of person who streams movies illegally.
Yeah.
So and Matthews is like this SWAT guy's like, yeah, you can excuse yourselves for a minute here while all this incriminating shit comes out. So So again, Kramer's just pushing his buttons, just keeps like antagonizing him, and obviously Matthew's getting close to really losing his shit. We get back to the house where Xavier he notices he of all people is the one to notice the numbers
On the
on
back
the
of the
back of
neck. Yeah.
everyone's neck. So oh, it's in the back of your mind, literally, kind of.
No, I wouldn't really say the back of your neck is your mind, but
Yeah,
okay, Jigsaw. Someone failed
yeah. That's
biology.
all right. All right, I'll let you off that time.
Yeah, he had
Um,
to shave their heads just to like make a little spot, you know.
Yeah, he kills. Xavier has a fight with Jonas. The black guy. And I like this guy, because throughout the whole film, he's like the most chill one. And he's the
Yeah,
kind of
he's trying to
biggest.
like,
He's
get
trying to
he's the
have a strategy, man. He's like, listen, he's trying to like calm everyone down, but he just
yeah,
can't.
he's the real guy who believes in teamwork makes the dream work, but no one else is
He's
on
the
him.
MVP, man. If Jigsaw was like he would have got them out of there, man. I'm sure of it. He'd have got them all out if they just listened to him, But
Yeah.
there you go. He ends up biting it because they've been carrying around this bat the whole time with fucking nails in it, and he gets that in the back of his head, which is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I don't know why Xavier's just too fucking like. He couldn't have just asked him because I always remember because Xavier like cuts off the back of his neck at the end of the film. I always remember it as being oh, you have to do that with everyone, which is why he kills them. But no, all he has to do is just ask him, oh yeah, can you turn around a sec? It's just on the back of your
No
neck.
one's gonna do that though. With Xavier there with a fucking knife in his head, like, yeah, turn around for a minute.
Yeah, yeah, but
It's
that's the
obviously
thing.
just
It's
gonna read
like
the back of your neck. No one's gonna do that.
yeah, but
That's the
if
problem.
that was me, I would literally if I was yeah, but this is the difference between me and Xavier. You see, I would turn around just to show him, look, I've got one on the back of my neck too. Can you tell me what it
But
is,
yeah,
please?
yeah, good point.
Yeah, he's not very good at building trust, this
He's not.
guy.
This is the thing. He's not thinking, but he's the one that actually discovered this shit first, which is like, yeah, whatever.
Unfortunate.
As well, our favorite 17-year-old going on 13 is Daniel Matthews, who's exposed as being Eric Matthews' son. They
Yeah,
find a photograph of them together. It's like, what the fuck are you with this guy? He's like, oh shit. And turns out Eric Matthews is the one that planted evidence, put them all away, basically.
yeah,
So, that kid is lucky he wasn't with Xavier and Jonas when that discovery was made. He'd have fucking got
yeah.
killed, man,
Jigsaw
on the
betting
spot.
out people left, right, and center in this film, man.
Yeah, man, they'd have fucked him up. He just happens to be, when this discovery is made, in a room with the three women who
Amanda,
kind of
yeah.
just like spit on him and move on, pretty much. So he fucking lucky lad, man. Like the fact he got out of this film alive is pretty surprising, man.
Hmm.
Um, as well, actually, what kind of gets him out of the situation is the blonde one, the blonde girl. She just dies from the poison coursing through her veins.
Yeah,
She just has
yeah.
a
Because I remember
has a
in that scene,
seizure.
I
She has a
couldn't.
cardiac arrest, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah, because I remember that scene. I remember her being in that scene. I can never remember how she died. I was just, oh, she
yeah,
just fucking, just bit the dust, as they say.
yeah. But it does give a bit of real danger because otherwise, like, no one ever dies from the shit coursing through their veins, right? Coursing through the veins.
Hmm.
So it doesn't really seem a real threat. Well, it does, but like because they're coughing blood and shit, but then someone actually dies from it. You're like, oh shit, this is actually like
Hmm.
for
Yeah,
real. Um, and that is actually Kramer directly killing someone, really, isn't it? So,
yeah, it is technically.
although
Well,
no,
but you know,
no, it's the same as any other trap because he's technically giving them a way out, but if they don't find
yeah,
it,
but
they're
it's
worthy of
still fucking
living,
stupid. Like,
right? Um,
thanks, Jigsaw.
And anyway, Xavier he starts chasing down Amanda and Daniel. He finds the photograph along the way as well, so he's like really gonna kill them. We get as well. It's cut in between, so I'm just gonna include this with this as well. Is we get the trap that the stripper ends up in. Um,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
pisses me off, man.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was gonna say. This is the this is the worst trap, but for annoyance, man. Sticks her hand through the thing. Oh no, my hand's been cut. I'm gonna stick my hand through the other one instead of helping this one get out. But she is like just brain dead apparently. So
This is literally just brain dead, man. And I want to give her the only little benefit of the doubt you could give her is that she's like the fucking because she walks in there, she's a bit like out of it, man. You can tell, and like from the poison coursing through her veins. So she's obviously like not got her best thinking cap on. But nevertheless, yeah, you rock up at this box, you see the needle in there, and what is the most jarring thing is not just she puts the hand up, she pulls the needle out so she can see she's fucked it up, right? She like the liquid is like on the so there's nothing, the antidote is gone because you fucked up. Although
Yeah.
that was a bit shitty from Jigsaw to like stick it down there. Of course, like no one's gonna be able to pull it off. But like you got
Yeah,
like
it's like a rigged like
yeah, and then
arcade game.
like you
Yeah.
put yeah, it is. It's fucking rigged like a gypsy fucking like in Thorpe Park. You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, the game.
Yeah,
By
like I
the
said, like
way,
an arcade game there.
I can't believe I managed to find a segue into mentioning the saw ride in Thorpe Park. I was literally watching the film last night and I was thinking, how am I ever gonna like mention that cool ride in Thorpe
Which
Park?
I've never been
How am
on.
I ever and I can't believe we actually found a genuine way of doing that. That's amazing. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
well done.
yeah, well, fucking that is well done, man.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah.
Xavier, it's funny as well, because Xavier just walks into this room while she's fucked up, and then he's like, yeah, all right. He's just
And
like,
you
yeah, can I
know
see the back of your neck? Goodbye.
do you know what though? I like that was really like tense for a second because I think like, he's gonna fucking rape her or some shit, man. You know, like straight up. To be fair, she's in like pretty vulnerable position. You know, like I guess. And Xavier doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would think twice either. But obviously, he's actually thinking with his head this one for a moment. So he goes and just gets the number off her because he goes and like starts like caressing her and shit. You're like, oh fuck, what's he gonna do, man? But he's just there for the number, not that number. But anyway, then we come back to Matthews, and he's had enough. So he goes and starts fucking up John Kramer, man. He's like just beating seven
Yeah,
shades
like he
of shit out of him.
snaps his finger, he
Oh
starts
yeah,
punching him.
man. Fucking again, the sound design kicking in there. It's like you're really feeling that shit, man. But Kramer, he's just like he doesn't give a fuck, man. He's Heath Ledger's Joker before Heath Ledger's Joker. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's just going,
Yeah,
"Your
because he
son-
said, like, I'm a
your son-
cancer patient. Can you really make me, like, any more pain? Like,
yeah, exactly. And he's like, yeah, your son's pissing blood now, you know, like, and then because earlier he's like, yeah, your son's gonna bleed out of every orifice, including his anus. So, you know, he's like, he's just there. Matthews is just fucking, just being a dirty cop, you know, like that he
as
clearly
he does.
is. Exactly. But obviously Kramer just brings him to that point, showing his true
Yeah.
colors. You know, that's what he's all about.
Yeah, he
Um,
like, just forces it. He's like, he beats him up, and he's like, oh, yeah, can you tell me where this is, by the way, so we can drive there?
yeah, puts a gun in his mouth and shit. This is what I just don't like. You know, I don't like seeing John Kramer on the ground, like, even though he's still like in control. I don't like seeing the guy fucking like that. You know, I don't know why, man. It's just like even though he's the
Yeah, I can
antagonist,
get,
you know what I
I can get
mean?
behind that, but also it's like, it makes the later part even more
That's true.
like, the fact that
That's
he knew this
yeah.
shit was gonna happen. He's like, oh, he's like,
That's a
you
great
know,
point. That's a
I
great
wonder if
point.
he knew how many fingers he'd get broken.
Yeah, that's a great point. Um, so yeah, he's like, and then you get the line, you know, oh, I'll take you to the house, and you're like, you know, and Matthews is hearing that. Oh, it's like, oh, great. But then again, you're like with the rewatch value, you're like, oh shit, you know, like because
Yeah.
this thing, John Kramer, he just always chooses words so carefully. He's just like always manipulating the truth. He's like, I'll take you to the house. I'm not going to take you to your son. I'm going to take you to the house, which is fucking empty, you cunt, because your son is literally in that safe over there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I can assure you, detective, your son is in a safe. Wait, shit.
Yeah, he's
It's
in a
like,
safe place. Um, And yeah, so and this is really cool, man, because he's like, just press that button there, and then fucking the warehouse just turns into this hidden elevator, which is cool as fuck, man. Just like
yeah.
suddenly going down. That's like what the fuck, you know? That's like really cool.
Yeah, like
Um,
Jigsaw's like, yeah, he since his last place got raided, he decides to do some upgrades. Actually, he did have an elevator in that one too. But
yeah.
anyway,
Is it this? No, it wouldn't be.
no,
No.
because they've
But
raided that one.
that must be pretty
He had to,
frustrating for John Kramer, man. He's like,
to
when one place gets
relocate.
raided, he needs to set up shop at another warehouse somewhere, 5 blocks down, you know.
Yeah, do you reckon he like, people like do property valuing or like they go around, looking for houses for him. He's like, does this one have a basement that's very
Yeah.
spacious?
Does this one have a section of the floor which becomes an elevator?
Yeah,
Uh,
does this one have any stairs where I could rig some traps?
yeah. What would you need that for, Mr. Kramer? Oh, just pigeons.
Yeah, any high ceilings at all for some gun related traps, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, um, they fucking yeah. They anyway. So they get out there in the car, man, and an actual moving car, not like one being
Yeah,
shaken.
it did look the filming style made it look similar, but it's which
Yeah, it
I
did,
kind of
didn't it?
like that they brought that back because it's like
Yeah, exactly. It just like
it's
it
almost
just
endearing you you
it
can say.
is. Yeah, it is. You're right. Yeah, it's got the close-ups, man. On them, it's just exactly the same style, which I really like. And but they're flexing the budget by having a shot of the car moving.
Yeah, like wow, it's driving.
Yeah. And Eric Matthews, he enters the house, and it's so fucking good because and then we're cutting between this and Amanda like running away from Xavier, and you when you're watching this for the first time, you're like, shit, they're happening side by side, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
is Matthews gonna find them, and shit, man, he's got the gun drawn, he's walking in, and he's passing the bodies because they're still quite fresh, but probably only by about an hour or two, and you're like, fuck, and it just I look this so it's so good because you just get this really effective plot twist, and like it just gives it so much rewatch value as well. It's like genuinely tense and like fuck
Yeah, just the
now.
fact that he's like, oh, yeah, because then right afterwards, roughly at the same time, like the actual police team find out this
Right,
pre-recorded.
this is all happening simultaneously, right? So then so anyway, so Amanda in the meantime has, well, not in the meantime, but she's gone back to the room where they all woke up in. She finds a trapdoor in there, which
Yeah, they're trying to stop Xavier from getting in
right, she finds the trapdoor, which leads to
the
the
bathroom,
bathroom.
which is so cool. I gotta say, just that. Well, I mean, the set actually had to be rebuilt for this.
Yeah, completely rebuilt from scratch. That's
But it
crazy.
was so like, because I remember like I kind of forgot this was like a plot twist in it, but then I was like, the lights go on. I'm like, huh, I think I remember this. And then it's just like, damn, you get like
Yeah,
the foot
yeah,
there, which is somehow not like a bone by now, but and you got Adam, who Dr. Gordon lied to him. He didn't come back for him with help.
yeah, man. Yeah, Zep as well. That's really fucking cool. Yeah, and in the behind the scenes thing, it's like it's really interesting actually because obviously in the first film they had the bathroom set and it was being torn down as they were filming the last few scenes, right? And in this film, they had no really they just had to literally watch the first film, get stills from it, and rebuild it according to that, and like get the
Yeah.
right tiles, and they were counting tiles and stuff. It's fascinating actually, like
That's the thing, because
how
they
much.
did it so well that I didn't realize that was the thing. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I wasn't like inspecting like every tile and so on, but it looks basically
yeah,
identical.
they get all the stuff, and the only thing that just was a little bit like it was really well lit in this film. Like the bathroom was too well lit for
Yes,
me.
it's very
Very
bright,
little
I would say.
nitpick, but it's just yeah, it was very bright. It's very like a lot of blue lighting there, which is just a contrast to the whole film. And I don't even think it was the same kind of lighting in the first one, but
Yeah,
anyway,
well,
very
it's
critical. But
you get some, you lose some.
anyway, yeah, they see the skeletons, including the little foot there. Um, and yeah, man, we get the fucking theme song kicking in. It's like how she's like well, how you? She thinks quick, man, because I wouldn't have thought that. She's like how you gonna read your own fucking number, like if I don't tell you. And
He just starts cutting his own neck
yeah,
off.
he's like getting the knife and trying to look. He's doing the funniest shit, man. He's trying to
Yeah, he's like, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
knife. And then yeah, he like fucking decides to cut a flap off his neck, a flap of skin, which I don't know, man. Like
I would have, yeah. By that point, yeah, he really hates working with people, so he just decides to like,
yeah, he's so
uh,
like adamant not to have help from anyone. He like cuts like almost literally cutting off your nose to spite your face, right?
yeah, exactly.
But he's like, yeah, he's fucking cutting this flap off his back, which he then tucks away in his pocket. It's just disgusting, man.
Yeah,
But I just, the whole plot to it, the ending of this film is fucking fantastic.
yeah, exactly.
But this particular moment is just the weakest part because you've got this like really overacting from Amanda. a lot of people accuse Adam of doing this in the first one, overacting. I think his reaction was perfect. I love
I
it.
loved it because it was quite funny as well
In
at the
this
same
one,
time.
it cuts to her too many times where she's just shaking, going like that. You know, it's just like I didn't really like that. Um, yeah, he's like cutting off fat, and you've got the music going, and yeah, it's like, but it's just not the same. The guy in the first one was cutting his own foot off. This is like a bit of a. I don't really know how he's worked out where it is, because you know how
Yeah,
it is, man. Like, you know, you
yeah,
can't when you
exactly.
can't see, you're just like you'll end up taking some of your shoulder off or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know.
But and he just gets the exact. I don't know. It's just like. To the music. It's just at the end of it, it's a guy standing up there doing this, and it's like I don't know, like yeah, you could cut it all up and stuff, and like it make it dramatic and stuff, cutting
Yeah,
to her reaction as well.
yeah. But then, yeah,
But then,
yeah, they figure out it's all pre-recorded. His son is indeed in a safe place.
oh
In a
wait,
safe.
wait, wait, because just the little
Oh
ending of
yeah.
that thing is like they think the son's dead, Daniel, but he fucking wakes up and slices Xavier's throat, man. Just like what the fuck, man. You're like, man, he's got the dog in him, you know. He's
Yeah.
like fucking woke up and like slit Xavier, like fair play, man. Like that really caught me off guard. Rewatching it, I was like, I forgot. I always forget that happens because there's so much happening in this film. He just fucking like bang, like kills him, man. You're like, shit, fair play, man.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah, man. So yeah, then the SWAT team discover that shit, like this is all this isn't live. This is
Yeah.
pre-recorded. And yeah, your son is in a safe and secure state.
Yeah. The safe just swings
Literally.
open. He's just chilling there.
Yeah, just literally swing. But it's I love the way they film it because I remember the first time watching the film, I was like, shit, man, because she's like, you don't see what's in the safe originally, so you're like, oh fuck, you know, like what the fuck is going to be in there, man, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly. Yeah. I
And
remember
then
that too.
and it took me a while to like. I mean, obviously they explain it, but I'm like, I didn't realize who that was for a moment, and then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you're signing like, oh shit, man, and um, and then yeah, then we get to the ending of this film, which is
Again, someone screaming.
yeah, Eric Matthews. He walks into the bathroom, and at this point, before then, you're expecting him to find Amanda and Xavier and shit in there, but they're not. She's like, you know, he's there. He's too late, but not too late. But
Yeah. He
he is too
checks the
late.
bathtub.
Checks the bathtub. Amanda's in there with the pig mask, and we get this reveal. And then he wakes up.
Yeah.
Cool,
Gives him
cool
a needle.
lighting,
You
man,
know.
with like the torch shining on him and the gun and stuff. I love that frame itself. Is just really cool.
Mm.
Um, he's got a tape there with Amanda on it. Now,
She should have done a voice for it, but like,
that's exactly what I was gonna say, man. It's
just
just
like, "Hi, John.
yeah,
This is
like
from customer
yeah,
service." You know.
yeah. She doesn't have the voice for it. I wish she just done. I
Yeah.
wish they'd done something just to like.
She should have just like gone over to Jigsaw, but like, hey, can you record this script for me? And he's like, okay.
Yeah. Or do yeah. Oh, I'm not gonna spoil
Or
future
just get a
stuff.
voice changer, man. It's not
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, exactly. Or do an impression like me and Henry.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but you know, yeah, that was like. But obviously, like the plot twist is so fucking good, you just don't really care at this moment. So you're like, oh
Yeah,
fuck, you
true.
know, she's like, she takes off the mask and she's like, oh fuck, you know, it's like Amanda the whole time. She's like, oh, continue his work and shit. You get the montage as well, and like, you know, just like in the first film, really cool. And then you get her saying game. She's
Game
like,
over,
game
and
over.
then close the door again.
Just really didn't work for me. Just
Yeah, and it's when you compare it to the one previous where
yeah,
he just like
exactly.
game over.
Game over. Fucking slams the door shut, man. It's just this green light behind it. It's just the fucking scariest fucking like shit that stays in your brain, man. Like fucking slams the door.
Yeah, exactly.
Way he
It's
says
just not
it's
the
so
same.
fucking iconic, and that's going to be hard for anyone to recreate. But
Yeah,
especially,
that's
I
true.
think they just went, well, no one's going to recreate that. Let's just give it like, let's just forget it and just
Let's
like
give it
give
the
it to
B
the.
team, you know.
Yeah, I really just wish they could have done something a bit because that always takes me out of it.
Oh well.
Especially like Matthew's just there calling her a fucking bitch and shit, man. You know, it's just
Yeah,
like
he's like, "I'll kill you, I'll kill you," and it's
yeah,
like,
just slightly sours it for me a little bit, but you know.
oh well,
And the final frame, of course, is John Kramer fucking dead.
passed out. He's just like,
He's like
oh,
fucking covered in blood, and you're like, whoa, is he dead, ladies and gentlemen? He'll have to join us next week to find out in Saw 3.
exactly.
We're not going to spoil anything for you. So yeah, that's Saw 2. What we're going to do now is rank them, so we'll get to talk a little bit about that. But First of all, we need to nominate the worst trap in this film.
As in the one you want to be in least.
Yeah.
That being the first.
So what have we got here? We've got the Venus flytrap. We've got the needle pit. The major traps. So we've got
I
the
think
needle.
there's not even. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in the revolver one where you have to just not open the door.
The one with the hands. The thing is, the one with the hands is the one I would least want to be in because that's a really slow death. But I wouldn't be stupid. I'd like to think I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
be
just wouldn't be
stupid
dumb
enough to end
enough.
up in
But
that
just
position.
usually like your shirt or something like that's one that's the most easily gamed.
Yeah,
Apart
and
from
I'm sure you
anything.
could probably lean up. Well, actually, I did watch a video of the guy like breaking down how you would escape that trap. But I think, regardless, I think I would have the nous not to get myself in that position. But if you did, that would be the worst one
Yeah, exactly.
for sure.
But
Possibly
still,
out of the entire series. That is a
overall,
slow, painful fucking death. So
overall though, it's got to be the Venus fly one. That's like
that's a
fuck.
quick death, though.
You have to dig
But
your
yeah, you
own
got to
like.
dig out your own eye. That's oh man, the way they film that, like it's like the close up when you have the about to prick his own eye.
Mm,
Disgusting, man.
yeah,
What
I'd
other
easily
traps?
nominate
Yeah, I
that.
guess those are the main traps, really. Oh, what about the furnace trap? Burning to death. Pretty
Oh
bad.
well, I'd still rather that than have to cut my own eye out.
I mean, what would you do in the Venus flytrap? I want to ask you, how do you think you'd be able to cut your own eye out?
Probably
Because
not.
this is the
I'm
thing.
I'm yeah I'm probably a bit too much of a pussy for that one. So
This is the thing, right? I mean, the problem with that trap is the guy's an idiot. He fucking pulls out the thing that starts the timer. There was no need to do that. He just does it out of panicking or anger, or whatever. He pulls the thing that starts the timer. So with 60 seconds, you're like, what can you do? But again, like I'm assuming I'm like, smarter than these guys. Maybe that's presumptuous because, in the situation you're like all fucked up in the head.
mm.
But, if you don't pull that thing, you've got the time to kind of I don't know, because the thing is, his eye is working, right? So Jigsaw's already managed to put the key in without blinding him.
Yeah, but
So
he had more than 60
presumably,
seconds.
if you have more than 60 seconds,
Nah,
I
it's
don't
just a Venus
know.
flytrap. There's not much of a debate, I feel.
And as well, the thing about the Venus flytrap is I'm sure you could put something in the way, like the toolbox or the fucking chair or whatever, like a pipe, so that it doesn't close up on you, or you can cut the leather straps around you with the scalpel. So there's a lot of things going on with that trap. Um, is that the worst trap?
I don't
The one
know.
I would least want to be in. I think the one I would least want to be in is actually the arm box one. I know you'd have to be an idiot to get yourself in that position, but assuming
If you I guess if in that case, then yeah. But I think I would if we just went to buy the trap as itself, because it's got to be the Venus Flyer one or the furnace, but probably the Venus Flyer one. That's my personal pick.
I think that's fair. Okay, so we're going to nominate as our worst trap for this film, and we've got to rank that against the wax trap.
The wax trap
So
is worse. It's not even a debate
why?
because it's
I agree with you,
impossible,
but I want
and
you
you
to
get set
reason.
on fire, and you're also bollock naked, and you're walking on glass, and you have to do maths.
All right, yeah, you're right. Okay, so number one, we've got the wax trap. Number two, the Venus flytrap. The best ending. We've got obviously number one is from Saw. Now, I just think that's one of the best films one of the best endings in cinema history.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it still goes above this one because like the whole pre-record
yeah,
"Your Son's in the Safe" is very good, but the actual ending itself, like, it's kind of just a worse version of the previous one.
the thing is, what I really like about this film, the ending of it is the fact that the plot twist in that everything's pre-recorded.
Yeah,
And
that's a
they
good plot
edit it to
twist.
make it look like that. For me, is what my takeaway of like that is so original, right? I've never seen that in another film. I don't think, and like the fact, oh, this is certainly the first film to do that, where it's like it's not a live feed. The whole point that's really like clever. Amidst all the other things, like the sun being in a safe place, like the sun killing Xavier, for example, or like the
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
cutting off the back of his neck. Like there's a lot of shit going on here. Or Amanda revealing herself as like the Jigsaw understudy. So that for me is like what I take as the best part of the ending. The fact that that whole it's
Nah,
not
it's not.
like.
It's still, even so, it's still not the
No,
same
no,
as.
I'm not arguing that it's better, but
Yeah,
I am saying this will end up high on the list as well. This
yeah,
will,
yeah.
yeah, will go second as
Then
the ending,
Sigma
but
quote.
yeah, Sigma quote. So from the first film, we had what was it?
Yeah, it's like you're apathetic. Yeah, it's not you're angry yet
Oh,
apathetic, but mostly pathetic. Just roasting Adam for no reason.
yeah, okay. Um,
This one you had
we have a
your
selection, so we've got to pick our favorite one from here. So when Kerry goes to Matthews, he goes, what if I'm asking, and then like puts the hand on him, looking at him, like looking all, fucking flirty, and he's like, can't help you, fucking goes back to his desk. You've
hmm,
got as well Jigsaw doing the voicemail on the phone. And you've got Xavier going, the only door you know how to open is between.
nah, the Xavier one's not that good. I think it's
Okay.
between the other two. But I
It's
think
got,
the first one, just because it's like it reminds me of the Jack Nicholson, like Jack Napier being like, yeah, I didn't ask. But also
it's a
Jigsaw.
really
Yeah.
tough one. 'Cause what kind of fucking sick
Yeah,
twist?
okay, I'd change that.
It's
It's
gotta be
got to be
like the
Jigsaw's one.
voicemail, man. The guy's like trying to call his son. He's like, "Oh, Daniel's not here at the moment." It's like, fucking hell, man. You like, yeah, that's got to be. I think that just it shows Kramer's like own sick sense of humor. It shows his like how much he thinks into, and it's just Sigma's fuck. Like he's sat there like I mean I haven't seen Better Call Saul, but I imagine that's like a Saul Goodman
Yeah.
thing to do, right? Like pre-record it on the victim's son's
Yeah.
like just to send him into more anger and like yeah, it's got to be, doesn't it?
Yeah, that would be
And I
something.
think as well that's going above. I think that's number one as well. That's going above
Yeah,
the.
yeah, because the other one's just roasting Adam, which is
Okay,
quite funny, but still.
I'm putting
And the
number one
film,
voicemail, number two pathetic. Okay.
I think, yeah, I think with ranking the film though, which is
Going to
just the
rank the
first.
film themselves. So number one, we have Saw. Now,
Saw
yeah,
2, I would just say is like Saw 1 I would rather watch, but this is better than I remember.
yeah. Saw Two is like it's good. What I like about Saw Two is it just sets up the rest of the franchise, and it just it's a funny one. I would probably sooner watch Saw Two because it's just like your archetype Saw film. Saw the first Saw film is like more of a psychological thriller almost than a horror film, right? Um, and it's like it's a bit more of a sit down and like concentrate film, Like this film, I can watch it as a more like I don't know, like just watch
Relaxed
it for the
film.
traps, or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't watch Saw one for just for the traps.
Yeah,
This
but
one
I
you
would
can.
still say,
So,
yeah, I would still, yeah, if that's the,
without a doubt, Saw is going first,
yeah,
but this film, yeah, is going second. But it's a good one. It's a good one.
yeah. I mean, I said most of what I could possibly say about this film. I'd say it's just like, yeah, not your cardboard cutout Saw film, because it has this really good point, especially its plot twist, but that's about it I can say for it. So,
And obviously, what I like is we get to spend a lot of time with John Kramer in this film, and we get to learn a
yeah,
lot about him. They did that really well, like fleshing out his character, his origin story. I really enjoyed that a lot.
yeah.
So, and like I said, the acting's really good. I really enjoyed Donnie Wahlberg's performance as Eric Matthews. I think that was a really good character. Um, Xavier's always like he's very memorable. I think for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah, it's our official millionth rank
Good sequel.
of second for Saw 2.
Yes, so number one, Saw, and number two, Saw 2. There you go.
You'll
One thing
never
I want to
guess what's
shout
coming
out as
next.
well before we close off the episode is I just want to appreciate and shout out the fact that they don't go down like the whole like trying to think up of cool titles and stuff for the film.
Yeah, just
Saw,
Saw 1,
Saw
Saw
2,
2,
Saw 3.
Saw
It's not like
3.
Saw 2, more blood or whatever it could have been.
Yeah, there will be blood. Oh,
Yeah,
wait, we're going to get
which
sued.
and furthermore, it's not just this like Saw 1, 2, 3, like Toy Story 1, 2, 3 with a number. They do sort of like Roman numerals.
Yeah, with the two
That
fingers
that
as well,
that
like the
tickles me a
seven
little bit. That's
fingers.
really cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. So final word from you, Henry.
Like I said, this is like the middle of the road Saw film. It's
Isn't
definitely not my favorite, but it's still pretty good.
It's a good one. So
Watch this with your
yeah,
family.
yeah, yeah. So
Just so you
thanks
can
for
cherish
watching.
them.
Make sure you check us out on Twitter, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. Like, leave us some comments and feedback. Which trap would you least want to be in?
Yeah.
Um, and also I might as well plug my TikTok, which I've started this week. So we've got a TikTok / Millionth James. You could find me. I'm going to make some not sore content, but other stuff on there. So
Yeah, check
you
out my
might as
latest
well
trap.
might as well check me out there. Yeah. And yeah, so next week will be Saw 3. Same bat times, same bat channel.